What if I told you that Andy Griffith, the man behind the beloved sheriff of Mayberry, had a complicated relationship with one of television's most iconic characters, Barney Fife? You know Barney, the bumbling, overzealous deputy played by Knott, whose antics and nervous energy made the Andy Griffith Show a classic. But behind the laughter and the fame, there's a story many fans don't know. Andy Griffith's real thoughts about the character that arguably stole the spotlight from his own. At first glance, it might seem impossible that Andy, the show's star and creator, would harbor any resentment toward Barney Fife. After all, the show wouldn't have been the same without Knott's brilliant portrayal, and Barney's character quickly became a fan favorite, earning Don multiple Emmy Awards. But sometimes, the truth behind iconic partnerships is more complicated than the friendly chemistry we see on screen. Did Andy secretly feel overshadowed by Don's character? Was there tension simmering beneath the surface as Barney Fife's popularity exploded? And what did this mean for the dynamic duo that defined one of television's most memorable sitcoms? The answers to these questions paint a picture far richer and more human than the easy nostalgia most fans hold. This story isn't about scandal or harsh criticism. It's about the messy, real emotions that come with fame, friendship, and creative collaboration. Andy Griffith and Knott shared years of working together, creating magic that millions enjoyed, but their partnership wasn't without its complexities. Exploring these hidden layers reveals something surprising: the delicate balance between admiration, rivalry, and respect that fueled the show's success. Over the next few minutes, we'll dive deep into what Andy Griffith really thought about Barney Fife, the character that defined Knott's career and changed television comedy forever. We'll look at behind-the-scenes stories, personal reflections, and even some rumors and speculations that have surfaced in recent years. This isn't just a look back at a classic show. It's a chance to see two legendary performers in a new light. So, if you've ever wondered what went on behind the scenes of the Andy Griffith Show, or how Andy felt about the character who often stole the spotlight, stick around. The story you think you know might just surprise you. Andy Griffith and Knott didn't just share screen time. Their relationship was the heart of the Andy Griffith Show. Their chemistry made Mayberry feel like a real place, where laughter and warmth coexisted with small-town quirks. But their connection was more than professional. It was a genuine friendship, built on years of trust, mutual respect, and shared commitment to the craft of comedy and storytelling. When Knott joined the show in 1960, Andy had already been working in television and film for some time. Andy's character, Sheriff Andy Taylor, was calm, grounded, and wise, the steady anchor for the town. Don's Barney Fife, by contrast, was high-strung, nervous, and wildly unpredictable. The contrast between the two was electric and became the show's defining dynamic. From the beginning, Andy appreciated Don's unique talent. Don wasn't just a comedian. He was a master of timing, physical comedy, and emotional vulnerability. He brought Barney to life with a blend of innocence and desperation that was impossible to ignore. Andy once said in interviews that Don was one of the funniest people I've ever met, praising his ability to elevate the material and create a character that was both ridiculous and endearing. Off camera, their friendship was rooted in a shared love of humor and storytelling. They spent hours discussing scripts, improvising lines, and supporting each other through the ups and downs of show business. Don looked up to Andy, who was already an established figure in entertainment, and Andy valued Don's fresh energy and comedic brilliance. Together, they formed a partnership that was much more than co-stars. It was a creative collaboration that drove the show's success. Yet, beneath this camaraderie, there were subtle signs that Andy sometimes felt challenged by Barney's overwhelming popularity. While Andy's character was the show's anchor, Barney quickly became the scene stealer. Fans adored his nervous stammer, his goofy bravado, and his inability to control his own mishaps. Knott's portrayal earned multiple Emmys, and Barney became a cultural icon, sometimes eclipsing the quiet strength of Andy's character. Some insiders suggest Andy struggled with the shifting focus. The spotlight wasn't solely on him anymore. Barney's character was getting just as much, if not more, attention. There's no doubt Andy was a professional who valued the show's success over ego, but even the most seasoned stars feel the sting when their creation is overshadowed. Interviews hint at a complex mix of pride and private frustration as Barney's antics took center stage. Despite this, Andy never publicly disparaged Don or the character. Their friendship endured, and they continued to work together with mutual respect. In fact, Andy was protective of Don and Barney, understanding that the character's popularity helped keep the show alive and relevant. Their relationship was a balance of admiration and quiet competition, each pushing the other to new creative heights. But that wasn't the whole story. What Andy thought deep down about Barney's wild, unpredictable energy and how that shaped the show's future gets even more interesting. And what happened next would shock everyone. On the surface, Andy Griffith appeared to be the perfect gentleman, warm, gracious, and always supportive of Don Knott and the Barney Fife character that became a household name. But behind that public kindness, the truth is more layered. Andy's feelings about Barney Fife were complicated, mixing admiration with quiet frustration that rarely made it to the public eye. Barney Fife was undeniably the breakout star of the Andy Griffith Show, and that's something Don Knotts fully owned. His portrayal of the nervous, bumbling deputy was not just funny, it was groundbreaking television comedy. Barney's exaggerated mannerisms, his iconic nervous twitches, and his over-the-top confidence in his own incompetence captured the hearts of millions. But for Andy, whose character was a calm and steady sheriff, the spotlight sometimes felt uneven. Several sources close to the show have shared that Andy sometimes felt overshadowed by the enormous popularity of Barney. While Andy's Sheriff Taylor was meant to be the anchor of Mayberry, Barney's antics grabbed the headlines. Interviews with writers and crew members reveal that Andy occasionally felt that the balance of attention shifted too far toward Don's character. This was especially true as Barney became a fan favorite, and Don won multiple Emmy Awards for his performance. That isn't to say Andy was bitter. Far from it. But even the most gracious performers experience moments of doubt and reflection, especially when a role they created becomes known more for supporting characters' humor than their own quiet charisma. Andy was known for being humble, but privately he wrestled with how the show was perceived, sometimes wondering if Barney's wild energy was taken away from the grounded, relatable qualities of his own character. Some behind-the-scenes anecdotes hint at these tensions without ever boiling over. For example, it's said that Andy sometimes felt the scripts favored Barney's slapstick moments over more subtle humor that Andy brought to his role. There were moments when the show's tone seemed to tilt toward broad comedy, something Andy reportedly wasn't always comfortable with. His strength was in the understated, believable portrayal of small-town life, while Barney's character thrived in chaos and exaggerated comic timing. Interestingly, Andy didn't push back openly against this shift. He was a team player and understood that Barney's popularity helped the show stay on the air longer. In fact, he often encouraged Don's creativity, knowing that Barney's antics were a key ingredient in the show's success. Still, interviews with writers suggest Andy wanted a little more balance, more moments that highlighted his own character's wisdom and leadership, rather than just being the straight man to Barney's comic relief. This quiet conflict was something Andy carried with him throughout the series' run. It wasn't about resentment, but about artistic expression and recognition. For a man who built his career on relatable, heartfelt storytelling, watching the spotlight shift could be bittersweet. Yet, he never let these feelings damage his friendship with Don or the integrity of the show. And that dynamic between pride, frustration, and friendship would set the stage for the next chapter of their story. How did Don not see Andy's feelings? And did their bond survive the pressures of fame? The answer might surprise you. While Andy Griffith's feelings about Barney Fife carried layers of complexity, Don Knotts was fully aware of the dynamic between them. For Don, Barney wasn't just a character. It was a part of himself, an expression of his unique comedic genius. But he also understood that playing such an outsized, beloved role could create an unexpected tension in his friendship with Andy Griffith. Don Knotts often spoke openly about his relationship with Andy, describing it as one grounded in deep respect and mutual admiration. He knew Andy was a star and creator of the show, and from the very beginning, Don appreciated the chance to work alongside him. In interviews, Don credited Andy for giving Barney a home and for being patient with the way Barney's character sometimes upstaged the sheriff. Don recognized that Andy had to carry the show's more serious themes, balancing the comedy with warmth and heart. Yet, Don was also candid about the moments when he felt Andy's subtle frustration. Don recalled instances where Andy seemed a bit guarded or distant, a rare glimpse into his more private feelings. Don never took this personally. Instead, he saw it as a natural side effect of two strong talents sharing a spotlight. He once mentioned that Andy was a perfectionist who cared deeply about the show's tone and message, and that could sometimes make him cautious about Barney's wild antics. Despite these occasional undercurrents, Don was protective of their friendship. He valued what they created together and made efforts to ensure their off-screen relationship remained strong. Don was known for his generous spirit and humility, often deflecting praise toward Andy as the show's visionary. He publicly acknowledged Andy's talent and leadership, ensuring the narrative was always clear. The Andy Griffith Show was Andy's show first. Don also understood that Barney's character became a phenomenon, bringing unexpected attention and success. He knew the character sometimes stole the show, but he was careful never to let that overshadow Andy's contributions. Their friendship survived as balancing act because both men respected each other's talents and recognized the importance of the other in their collective success. In fact, Don spoke about how Andy's calm demeanor helped ground the show and provided the perfect foil for Barney's nervous energy. He admired Andy's ability to play the straight man with such sincerity, which made Barney's antics even funnier. Don often credited their chemistry as the key to the show's timeless appeal. Behind the scenes, Don was also sensitive to pressures Andy faced as the show's lead. While Barney got the laughs, Andy carried the responsibility of representing Mayberry's heart and soul. Don appreciated that Andy sometimes felt the need to rein things in to keep the show balanced, which explains some of the moments when Andy seemed less enthusiastic about certain storylines. Through it all, Don's view was clear. Their partnership was a collaboration built on trust and friendship, even if occasional tension surfaced. They knew the magic they created couldn't have happened without both of them playing their parts perfectly. And as time went on, their mutual respect only deepened, proving that sometimes friendship can thrive even amid creative challenges. But the full picture of their relationship includes some surprise and behind-the-scenes stories, moments that reveal just how close and complicated their bond really was. What happened off camera shaped the show in ways fans never imagined. The magic of the Andy Griffith Show was no accident. It came from countless hours of work, laughter, and sometimes friction behind the scenes. While Andy Griffith and Don Knott maintained a close friendship on and off camera, the realities of working together on such an iconic show revealed layers of complexity few fans ever got to see. One story often shared by cast and crew involved the playful, but occasionally tense, moments when Don would fully dive into Barney's over-the-top antics, pushing the limits of the script. Andy, ever the grounded sheriff, would sometimes raise an eyebrow or gently rein him in. While these moments were lighthearted, they hinted at a subtle creative push and pull between the two leads. Several crew members recall how Andy preferred a more understated approach to comedy, one rooted in character and story, while Don's style was more flamboyant and slapstick. This difference didn't cause major conflicts, but it meant that Andy occasionally felt the show veered too far into broad comedy, which risked overshadowing the show's heart. In fact, writers sometimes adjusted scripts to balance these two styles, mindful of preserving the show's signature warmth without losing the comedic spark Don brought. One famous anecdote from the set illustrates this perfectly. During a particular episode, Don improvised a scene where Barney frantically fumbled a simple task, escalating the chaos beyond the script. The crew loved it, but Andy reportedly felt it distracted from the episode's emotional core. Instead of pushing back outright, Andy had a private conversation with Don, emphasizing the importance of keeping the story's balance intact. This moment showed Andy's quiet leadership. He wasn't shutting down Don's creativity, but guiding it to fit the show's overall tone. Another story reveals how their friendship went beyond work. Don Knotts credited Andy with teaching him about the nuances of acting, especially how to play subtle emotional beats that could make comedy more meaningful. Andy, in turn, appreciated Don's ability to lighten heavy moments and make audiences laugh through even the simplest expressions. Their dynamic was one of mutual learning and respect, a creative dialogue that enriched the show's narrative. But not everything was always smooth. Rumors have circulated about occasional behind-the-scenes disagreements, not serious fights, but moments of tension over character direction and screen time. Some speculate that Andy occasionally felt Barney's character took away from his own spotlight, though these feelings were never publicly aired. Instead, both men managed these undercurrents with professionalism, focusing on the show's success. Years after the show ended, cast interviews have hinted at how this dynamic shaped their legacy. Betty Lynn, who played Thelma Lou, once said the chemistry between Andy and Don was electric, but sometimes you could feel the weight of being in the spotlight together. Jim Nabors, another cast member, reflected on how Don's energy pushed Andy to new comedic heights, even when it challenged him. These behind-the-scenes glimpses reveal a partnership built on friendship and artistic tension, a balance that created a television masterpiece. Andy Griffith and Don Knotts didn't just play sheriff and deputy. They embodied a working relationship that navigated success, rivalry, and respect. But the story doesn't end there. Rumors and fresh perspectives have emerged in recent years, adding new layers to their story. Layers that make you question everything you thought you knew about their friendship. Even decades after the Andy Griffith Show wrapped, the fascination with Andy Griffith and Don Knotts' relationship hasn't faded. In fact, it's only grown stronger. In recent years, new interviews, documentaries, and fan discussions have stirred up fresh rumors and speculations about the real feelings Andy had toward Don's famous Barney Fife character. These stories add surprising twists to an already rich legacy. One of the most talked about revelations came from a recent documentary featuring interviews with surviving cast and crew members. Some insiders hinted that while Andy was always professional and kind, there were private moments when he expressed discomfort with just how dominant Barney's role had become. These moments weren't dramatic or explosive, but subtle and tinged with a quiet frustration, almost like a longing for the spotlight to be more evenly shared. Some rumors even suggest that Andy feared the show was becoming more about the laughs and less about the heart and soul of Mayberry. Barney's slapstick style was undeniably hilarious, but Andy reportedly worried it might overshadow the grounded storytelling he valued. This led to whispered conversations among writers and producers about toning down Barney's zaniness in later episodes, something that many fans might never have noticed. Another speculation revolves around the time Don Knotts decided to leave the show in 1965. While officially, Don left to pursue a successful movie career, some insiders believe that behind the scenes, the decision was influenced by creative differences and the natural tension of sharing the spotlight. It said Andy was supportive but also relieved in some ways, as the show's tone shifted back to focusing more on the town's simpler, heartfelt moments. Fans have also debated Andy's reaction to the countless Barney Fife spin-offs and appearances Don made after leaving the show. Some think Andy was quietly proud, while others believe he distanced himself from Barney's legacy, wanting to be remembered more for Sheriff Taylor than as the sidekick straight man. Though Andy rarely spoke about these feelings publicly, his interviews later in life sometimes hinted at a desire to be recognized for his broader contributions to television and storytelling. Social media and fan forums have kept these rumors alive, sparking passionate debates about how two legends could maintain friendship amid such a complicated dynamic. Some fans admire Andy's humility and grace in handling Barney's overwhelming popularity, while others feel there was more tension simmering beneath the surface. It's worth noting that neither Andy nor Don ever confirmed any harsh feelings. Their legacy remains one of friendship and collaboration, even as speculation fills the gaps. What makes these recent rumors fascinating is how they humanize two giants of television, reminding us that even the most beloved partnerships have layers of complexity. As the years go by, new generations discover the Andy Griffith Show and Barney Fife for the first time, unaware of the behind-the-scenes nuances. Understanding this complicated relationship adds depth to the laughter and nostalgia, showing us that the story behind Mayberry is as rich as the characters themselves. And finally, this all brings us to the legacy of Barney Fife and Andy Griffith, the final chapter in this story that reshaped television history and left an indelible mark on pop culture. Decades after the Andy Griffith Show ended, the legacy of Andy Griffith and Don Knott's iconic characters continues to shape television and comedy in ways few realize. Their partnership created not only unforgettable characters, but also a blueprint for the classic buddy dynamic. A calm, wise lead paired with an unpredictable, nervous sidekick that many shows have tried to replicate since. Andy Griffith Sheriff Taylor embodied a quiet strength and genuine kindness that made audiences feel at home in Mayberry. Meanwhile, Don Knott's Barney Fife brought a whirlwind of comedic chaos, insecurity, and lovable foolishness. Together, they created a perfect balance that captured the complexities of friendship, authority, and humor, giving viewers characters who felt both real and larger than life. But this legacy isn't just about the characters or the show's immense popularity. It's about the story behind the story. What Andy really thought about Barney Fife adds an important layer to understanding how television magic is made, through collaboration, compromise, and sometimes conflicting emotions. The tension between Andy's grounded nature and Barney's comedic energy helped shape a show that was as heartfelt as it was hilarious. Their dynamic also highlights the challenges of creative partnerships. Andy's quiet frustrations with Barney's outsized popularity remind us that even the most successful collaborations aren't without bumps. It takes generosity and mutual respect to keep such partnerships alive, and the fact that Andy and Don remain friends through it all speaks volumes. Beyond the screen, their influence reaches today's performers and writers who look back at Mayberry as a masterclass in character chemistry. Shows from Parks and Recreation to Brooklyn Nine-Nine owe a debt to the blueprint laid down by Andy and Don. The delicate balance between straight man and comic relief remains a cornerstone of sitcom storytelling. Fans continue to celebrate the warmth and humor that Andy and Don created, finding comfort and laughter in episodes that have stood the test of time. But knowing the complexity behind their relationship adds depth to the viewing experience. It reminds us that behind every beloved character, there are real people with real emotions, navigating the highs and lows of fame and friendship. In the end, Andy Griffith's true feelings about Barney Fife don't diminish the joy the character brought millions. Instead, they enrich the story, showing how even the closest friendships can have complicated layers. And that complexity is part of what makes their partnership so enduring. So next time you watch Sheriff Taylor and Barney Fife banter back and forth, remember that beneath the laughter was a remarkable partnership, one filled with admiration, challenges, and a shared commitment to making something timeless. Their story isn't just a chapter in TV history. It's a lesson in friendship, creativity, and the bittersweet nature of success. Looking back on the Andy Griffith Show and the legendary partnership between Andy Griffith and Don Knott, it's clear their relationship was as rich and complex as the characters they portrayed. Andy's quiet reflections on Barney Fife's overwhelming popularity revealed a delicate balance between friendship and creative rivalry. While Barney's antics brought laughter and fame, Andy's grounded presence gave the show its heart and soul. Their story reminds us that even the closest friendships can hold layers of unspoken feelings, admiration mixed with frustration, support tempered by personal desires. It's this complexity that made their performances so authentic and timeless. The characters of Sheriff Taylor and Barney Fife didn't just entertain. They reflected real human dynamics, where two very different personalities could clash, complement, and ultimately elevate each other. Understanding what Andy really thought about Barney adds a new dimension to our appreciation of Mayberry. It encourages us to see beyond the surface, to recognize the human stories behind iconic roles. And it teaches us something timeless. Success and collaboration often comes with challenges, but respect and friendship can turn those challenges into lasting legacies. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the real story behind Andy Griffith and Barney Fife, don't forget to like and subscribe for more fascinating behind-the-scenes stories and surprising truths about your favorite shows and stars. Hit the bell so you never miss an update. What do you think Andy really felt about Barney? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your take. See you in the next video.